Habits and how they're driven by our emotions. Human beings are creatures of habit, often working on automatic pilot in response to various triggers that they come across throughout the day. And whilst these triggers could include walking past a cafe selling tasty treats or the sound alert of a phone, they can also come from within your own mind, even in the absence of any external prompt. More specifically, these habit triggers can arise from your own emotional state. Throughout the day, your mind is in a state of continual emotional flux. You have a background mood state which ebbs and flows. This then is interspersed with emotional peaks and troughs, which are often caused by events which happen to you momentarily. For example, when you receive some good or bad news over email or social media. And as you might expect from an evolutionary perspective, it's your negative emotions which are especially powerful in driving your behaviour. This includes those emotions which are considered to be more basic, such as fear, anxiety, or anger. But equally important are other negative states of mind that we all experience from time to time, perhaps even many times a day. States like boredom, tiredness, loneliness, feeling powerless, indecisive, dissatisfied, confused, inferior, discouraged, or even a bit lost. Often when you fall into one of these negative states of mind, your brain tries to come up with some ways to solve them. You want to bring you back to a more positive baseline, and it's got a trick up its sleeve to help you do that, that creates a reward, some pleasurable experience that makes you feel better. And this is why feeling low can trigger habitual behaviours, because your brain knows from past experience that when you carry out that particular behaviour, you get a reward of some kind. But because habits are automatically triggered and carried out without much involvement from your frontal thinking lobe, you don't always notice these patterns of behaviour, these links between your changing emotional state and your behavioural choices. While some of these choices are good for your health, well-being, or career success, others are more destructive to you. Well-known examples include people eating more than they should when they're feeling sad, or people gambling when they're bored. But everyone has their own personal equivalent, however big or small. So what can you do about it? Well, firstly, you can try and become more aware of your emotions and how they're driving the habitual behaviours in your life. Maybe even create yourself a chart where you list the emotions in one column and then write notes next to each one when you find yourself doing a habitual behaviour to try and solve the emotion. In other words, take the behaviour off automatic pilot for a moment and back into the hands of your frontal lobe to evaluate what you're actually doing, why you're doing it, and what consequences, good and bad, it might be having on your life. Only then can you start to see where you have habits that you might want to redesign. Whilst you can't always change the emotional triggers, you can perhaps start to change any behaviours that might be mapped into your different triggers. Slowly you can start to weed out the bad ones and steadily replace them with better alternatives.